Oh, it's been a day. I tell you what. We have sound now. I don't know what I'd do without you guys. Um, it's unfortunate. There's like a 30-second delay from me speaking to what posts on YouTube there. So thank you for the heads up there. We're gonna start this over. I'm Dan Hodgman. Welcome to the market recap. It is Tuesday, May 11th. Markets were opportunistic today. There were some good chances there across the board. You got crude oil catching that shelf down below that 63.90 we talked about today. Bounced us right through settlement price and then continued on basically right to where we opened up yesterday. So some damn good opportunity there. You got S&P 500 breaking down to that 4110 we were looking at earlier. We said, look, if there's a chance, we're going to look down here. It got down there after the open, right around 9:30, broke down there and started to recover right back to the overnight's consolidation. As expected, did not make it all the way back to settlement price and close that gap. But personally, I'm not really surprised by that one. And the NASDAQ, good old NQ, that one took me by surprise. I personally was not expecting the 300-point move back to settles. It did it, no problem. Got there pretty darn quick and has held out since then. Gold, what's there to say? That thing's all over the place today. We broke down. We came right down to that 19 level that we were looking at this morning. Bounced right off of it and returned right to settlement price. Man, all right, so we've got 1, 2, 3 of the 4 we've touched on right now. Settlement price recovered. Euro, kind of as expected, stayed inside. It kept hitting that top shelf and finally, end of day, broke down towards settlement price. All right, we're at 4 or 5. Closed the gap to settles. And lastly, 10-year note, not a whole lot to say. I think we stayed in a 3-tick range pretty much 90% of the day. So relatively quiet there. Yes, thank you everyone for the no sound comments there. I do appreciate that. If it wasn't for you, I would have sat here and talked to myself and looked like a fool. Edelson, good to see you. Level 2, can you have a look at open interest tomorrow morning? Something interesting is going on, in my opinion. Absolutely. I'll try to remember to take a look. I'm not personally one that watches open interest as it applies to the futures market typically, so I'm not really paying attention to trends there, but I will definitely see if there's something I can pick up or notice there. Bill, good to see you. Greg, you as well. Yes, the sound. Rays, good to see you there. Greg, I'll try and make sure you can read my lips a little bit better. Make sure I'm not hiding behind this thing every so often. Anyone catch that oil trade? I sure hope so. It's exactly what we were looking at. We were looking for a chance down below to recover to settles. Dollar move, reasonable. I wonder what the overnight in ES will bring us. It's a great question. Did we finish kind of closing it up? Do we see is the bottom in here? It's going to be a good question. Let's take a look. Mr. Shines, Mr. Channel, good to see you. Australian US dollar, tight range also. Yeah, the dollar's been an interesting one with this whole conversation around inflation. You're seeing commodities surging. US dollar has been kind of a headliner here lately that we want to be starting to keep our eyes on once again. No major news, though, today. United Auto Workers president, their union president, has been sentenced to prison. That's some big news there. Dogecoin, I'm going to keep looking at it. It's interesting to me. I think it's at a price where anyone out there, any one of us, if we really wanted to try and see if there's a chance, we can go in and buy a couple coins if we wanted, right? At 50 cents, 51 cents right now, there's not a lot of risk on the table. Maybe it's something that we consider holding on to and seeing if there's a chance. Maybe it's going to be the next Bitcoin. Maybe it's not. Maybe it falls flat. But at 50 cents, it's not a ton of risk. Maybe it's something to check out. I don't know if I've ever said this on this show. I've talked about it, I believe, in the podcast. A little over 10 years ago, I started looking at Bitcoin. I had a chance to buy $1,000 worth, and I couldn't figure out how to buy it, so I decided not to. And well, wouldn't that be quite the story if I bought that one? So I don't know. I've been bitter towards the cryptos for a very long time. At 50 cents, maybe it's not worth maybe it's worth taking a shot. Yields are up today. 10-year note up 18 basis points. 30-year 28. So we got some upside potential there. 10-year up over 1.6 and the 30-year up over 2.3. Let's go ahead and take a look at these charts and see what we had going on here today. All right. So here we are. We opened up this morning. We said, look at this. We are in a triple bottom. 1, 2, 3. Boom. 3-week lows. We've got their trend. That was a continuing lower. If we continue to extend this out, we're not too far off. And we said this morning, 63.90 is an area to look for a chance. And yeah, you got 22 cents of risk in this, but we're really think big picture here. You're in at 63.90, let's just say. You got 22 cents of risk. So again, we're hindsight here. We're looking at the risk that was involved. The first step we're looking at is up here at 42, yesterday's value area low. First point we're looking at, okay? That's 50 cents of profit in a trade. Simply put, we can get in at 90 and say, keeping the numbers and the math on my side, I'm looking for a decent $500 trade, and I think that is a reasonable trade for us to take. We want to watch it momentum as it gets to that 42. All right, so we got 50 cents. We can risk 25, and we're in a trade, and we're keeping things asymmetric. We get that to 42, and we said the first thing you want to do, watch momentum. Well, there's no hesitation. Momentum rallied this thing right up to 92. Very happily can walk out of that trade with $1,000 per contract off a simple, continuous strategy. Close the gap from to settlement price when the market opens away. That's the trade we're looking at. Gave us a great chance here today. That, to me, that's the move. After that, you are done for the day. Don't even worry about trading this market anymore. Next, the S&P 500. All right, here's where we talked this morning. 41.20 down to 41.10. That's where our eyes were this morning. That market came down, blew through 20, moved through 10, and we broke all the way down to 0.375. Here's the thing. We were looking at it and we said, I think it's going to have a hard time making it all the way up to settlement price. That's a rather large move. So we came right to, and maybe I failed to point this one out, the consolidation that we were in for so many days last week and the week prior. We came right to the low side of that channel. I believe I failed to point that one out, but I did look at it and say, we're going to see if we can get up towards 41.50 near that overnight consolidation. That was our first stop, looking at our moving averages, which has been very beneficial for us. And that's what we got. We got the move off the low, rallying higher, getting right up to 41.50, which is today's value area high. Next, let's go ahead and look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ was a great opportunity for closing the gap to settles. We opened up away from settlement price, and it was very apparent off the open. This thing had no intention of moving lower. Sellers had no power. Buyers came in and took this thing off to the races. Get in this trade relatively cheap. And yeah, you can sit in this thing and maybe see if you can get it to run up to settlement price. Again, I think that's a hard trade to sit in. What I'm looking at is I'm paying attention to the swing high, that pullback in the overnight session. If I can get the market to move to that pullback, maybe I'm thinking I'm content with that. That's a good double top. Lock that money in and walk away. That, to me, is a great trade. There's something we always want to be considering when we are looking at these markets is we don't need to take the whole move. But where can we get in these trades And where can we get out of them to lock in some of those quality profits? Well, as a day trader, we just want to take chunks. If we can look at this and we can catch that initial move off the open, we can sit back, relax, and call it a day from there. And then maybe at the end of the day, you start to recognize, all right, direction's changed. I'm going to look for another pullback, and you can take trade 2. Here's pullback number 2. Market started to rotate over, failed to get to settlement price. Could be an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to take a cheap trade here around 11 o'clock this morning, 11:30. I'm going to take a cheap shot here to see if I can run this thing to settles, and we can lock in 2 really solid trades. Or you've got the patience to sit in, withstand the initial pullback off that fast move, which, in all reality, if it does and it comes back here, we're still in the money. We're still in a good trade here. This trade is still valid because we never finished closing the gap. You could stay in this trade all day long until about 12:30 Central Time, where you can lock in the profits. All right, next, gold. Funny how this morning market was rotating over and we started talking, and it hadn't made it all the way down yet to our 1819 level that we had mentioned. But that's what we were looking at. It fell right to where the market broke out on Friday of last week, came right down to it, rejected extremely fast. Buyers wanted to maintain profits, so maybe they're still long here. They want to scoop it back up and send it higher. Did exactly that, gave us the chance, started to rally, and finally, almost at the end of the day, make it right back to settlement price. Now, let's go look at the euro here. Not a whole lot to say. Euro, we sat here during this high volatile moment, and it was hard to trade, right? It's hard to trade in that pre equity open, trade in the volatility. So we broke back up, came right back to Friday's value area high, and that was really the chance. This market has stayed inside for the most part during regular trading hours. Something we want to make note of. We have a high side of a range defined pretty nicely up here at 2180. Pretty good area to keep in mind, which happens to be Monday's value area high. Great chance for us to say, hey, I'm going to take a cheap short here. I'm going to run this thing down. Maybe we'll make it to settles. And it did just that within the last half hour or so. All right, and lastly, let's just look. Oh, I screwed up, and I accidentally knocked this one out. 10-year note started to break off the open, broke down, and really the only thing I have to say is we came back to unchecked point of control from back on May 5th. Really quiet day here, really tight trade. As you can see, value areas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole ticks. That's where the volume traded here today. All right, everybody, those are our markets here today. I hope you have all had a great day. I hope some of what we've talked about here this week so far has helped you out. That's what I care about. I want to help you guys out. As a heads up, reminder, I mentioned it this morning, Thursday and Friday, there will be no market forecast. I'm taking some time off. I'll be out for a week or so while John is still out here to tail off this week. But John will be back Monday morning, 8 a.m. with the market forecast. There will be no more recap this week. I have some stuff I have to take care of tomorrow afternoon, so I'm starting my vacation a little early. So this is the last recap of this week. So tomorrow morning, we'll make sure we kind of cover a little bit higher time frame, where things can go over the next few days. I want to make sure we touch on that. Some of the stuff I'm looking at, I also won't be looking at because I'm taking a week off. I'm signing out. I'm going to relax, spend some time with the family, get out on the water, and I'm going to do some yard work. I'm looking forward to it. So just want to make sure we've got that one all covered. All right. So Bitcoin, just so I'm transparent with everyone, we are looking at this pretty closely right now here at Top Step. We're watching it still 8, 10, 12, 13 ticks or spread on the 13 tick spread on the bid and offer. A little wide for my liking, but we're starting to see it thicken up. So that's the first step to tightening the spread here. Once we see the spread tighten up, I think there's going to be some cool opportunity. So Bitcoin trading $56,830. Wish I bought those 10 years ago, huh? No. Can't live in the past. Always looking for the next opportunity. Speaking of, our Airbnb stock, you guys, it's not doing great. We're long 148. We're down $6 on this thing. We're down to 142.73 right now. But summer's here. Economy's open up. Maybe we're going to get people traveling again. Maybe we can get the stock to start to rally for us. But that's not the only stock struggling. Tesla. Another big down day here today. $617 a share. That is down another $12 here today. Speaking of stocks, GameStop's got a little bit of life, up almost $4, say $146.92. One thing oh, Greg, thanks for heads up there. We can definitely turn this up. Crank it a little bit. I think as long as I'm not popping or scratching, hopefully that works for you. GameStop, one of the best, I don't know, it's worked for me, and I'll pass this information along to you. Some advice I got years ago from a guy I knew was basically any stock that has a big rally, when it comes back to the price that it started at the first time, it's not a bad time to try and get in on that. Maybe catch that double bottom. Something I've looked at with stocks. And so GameStop broke back down to 42. Not a bad chance to get in that one and lock in $100 on this one. All right. The VIX. No surprise. We're holding back over 21. And no surprise there. This is, we're seeing some volatility. There's no craziness behind that. We're seeing concerns. There's some fear out there. You're seeing fast, abrasive moves. So what do we do when we see VIX start to spike? We scale back a little bit. Maybe we look for a little bigger opportunity, trading a little less. There's a lot of things we can do. I could go on for hours about that one. All right. Tomorrow is Wednesday. CPI, 7:30 a.m. Central Time. Now that inflation's back in talks, that's a big one for us to keep our eyes on. So I'll be watching those closely a little bit more here going forward. So let's we'll keep an eye on that one. And then crude oil number, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. We do have stuff going on with the gasoline pipeline. Is that going to spill over into the number tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. And then that's about it, other than at noon tomorrow, 10-year note auction. Those of you trading the 10-year note, there will be an auction at 12 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. Lastly, earnings. We've kind of gotten through the majority of them. Really nothing tomorrow. Today still pretty, yeah, we're through the meat and potatoes on that one. All right, and lastly, this date in history, and we'll get on out of here. I just want to make sure nothing I missed. All right. 25% of expected volatility. There you go, LT. PD, thank you. I definitely will. And Ray, thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to signing out for just a week. Got my niece and nephew coming to town. So a lot of golf cart rides for them and boat rides for them. So I'm looking forward to it. Gotcha, PD. I didn't know. I really don't even know where you'd go to buy it. I know a bunch of people that are in it, but I don't know much about it. I'm just starting to. It's got my interest. Everyone's talking about it. For 50 cents, you almost can't risk to miss the move. And, if you buy $100 worth, if you lose $100, what's the end of the world, right? All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow morning, and then you won't see me for a week. So I hope you guys all have a great day. So get out there, stay safe, wash your hands, trade smart, and trade